Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to pre-service chats. Good to have you with you this morning. We've got
Good to be here this morning.
Yeah.
Great to be here this morning. A little smoky. We're looking out our doors, and I was just looking at the air quality index there, and its risk is very high. Not a good air quality day here,
Crazy.
but we're going to have a great morning here at Saanich.
Yeah, great
Yeah.
morning. And whenever you are checking this out, we are so glad that you're doing that. Whether you're at home on your own, whether maybe you're with a friend or you're in some home church, it is really, really good to have you with us.
Or maybe on a beach in Hawaii. That would be good.
Beach on
Yeah,
Hawaii.
we were just talking about maybe doing a live preaching piece from Hawaii. That would be good.
That's not what we were talking about. We
No?
were talking about not just the preacher being in Hawaii. We were talking about everybody.
That's true.
being-
We were.
Okay.
Okay, let's get that right. All right.
Charter a jet, social distance,
Right.
fly to Hawaii.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
You can go a couple days early and check out the best spot, though. We'll give you that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, awesome.
All right.
Yeah. Good to have you with it. Today, Steve, we just thought it'd be good to flesh out a little bit some of what we talked about last
Sure,
week.
yeah.
To hear about this inspiring and equipping and challenging each other to live 6-8 and what that's going to look like this fall.
Yeah, first of all, let me say, if you didn't watch the sermon last Sunday, I really encourage you to take some time this week to watch it, because in the sermon I talked about, first of all, having the right center. And I think as a church, it's so important that we have the right center. And then once you have the right center, you have the right mission, which is, for us, it's inspire and equip people to live 6-8, wherever they find themselves, from Micah 6-8. And then we talked about the 4 quadrants and how we're going to move into the fall this year with 4 quadrants: online services, gathered ministries, serve the city, initiatives, and also home church.
Yeah, it was amazing, and we heard all kinds of ideas. You know, Steve, one of the things that as we're sitting here going through this summer, seeing, as you mentioned, this weather, like the fall, we don't really know exactly what the fall is, and that's causing some frustration.
It is.
Causing
It's
some anxiety.
causing a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah.
I mean, we made it through the first week of school. Parents that were sending their kids to schools, people like my wife who work in the school system.
Yeah.
We got through that first week of school, but there's a lot of uncertainty as we move into late October, November. Nobody's quite sure what's going to happen. That's causing, for some people, anxiety, for others, angst and frustration, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, and this series is going to be great as we kind of address some of that stuff through the Psalms.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. We're starting today, new series, the lost art of living with uncertainty and loss. Going to be journeying through some Psalms. We're going to be introducing it all in a few minutes in our service together. But we have some, in the midst of uncertainty, we have some amazing opportunities where we can continue to journey together and live 6-8 together. I mean, just because we can't meet together on a Sunday morning in a large group, we still have people all over this city meeting in home churches. I think we have over 150 now in our home church. So maybe I'll throw a question out to you.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about home church this morning, because
Yeah.
I think that's a really important thing. We want to get you into a home church if you're willing. We'd love to have you engaged in home church. They don't just meet on Sunday. We have them meeting throughout the week. We want you to connect with others, and the primary way we see that happening this fall, other than through some of our Serve the City initiatives and our age ministries like young adults and youth ministry, is through home church. So speak about home church.
No, that's great. That's a good summary of it. And it's not just watching the service.
Right.
Like home church, we're trying to create community. We're trying to live out sort of that model that we see in Acts 2.
Right.
All those different practices. You know, you've talked about them. One of the things that is enjoyable is actually when you gather together with somebody, it changes the dynamic. Like, I know there's some of you who just aren't ready, aren't comfortable maybe to head into a home church right now, and that's understandable, and that is cool. But I just heard again this past week from some people that, that idea of getting up in the morning and anticipating someone else joining them or them joining someone else raises the experience.
Absolutely, it does. I can speak for our own experience.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife Sylvia was saying when she was watching it alone, it is an entirely different experiencing watching it with some other folks, which she is doing at our home right now.
Right.
Total, the engagement factor goes way
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And you're more engaged, you're worshiping with others. You know, where two or three are gathered,
Yeah.
Christ is there also. And I just think when you're with others, watching the service, you're not just watching a service.
Yeah.
You're now engaging in the service. And there's a big difference between just watching it and engaging in it.
Yeah. I know one of the attenders at our home church, which ours is meeting right now as well, so I'm not able to be there for the first little bit, but mentioned, oh, and they're singing, you know,
Right.
because we sing, and, you know.
I make a joyful noise.
You make a joyful
just to
noise,
be
yeah.
clear.
Can I just say, if you are wondering about it and you're not sure, by contacting us, you are not committing yourself. You're just reaching out and we're starting a conversation. You might be willing to host.
Sure.
You might like to hear more about that. We would love to hear. Thanks to the tech team for getting the office at sandwichbaptist.org on the screen. You may have seen that. You can just hit the website if you're not sure.
Talk a little bit about watch parties.
Yeah. So another opportunity is we're reversing roles this morning all of a
We
sudden.
are.
Yeah.
Isn't this fun?
We are. Yeah.
Let's put
it
Lindsay
caught me
on the
by
hot
surprise.
seat. I'm loving this. This is good.
All right. We are going to be starting the week of September 27th. So Sunday is the 27th. On the 28th at 7 p.m. out at CPC, we're going to be launching our first watch party. And it's not quite home church, but we're sort of working our way towards it. We're trying to create an experience where we can gather together. 20 is going to be our max. And we are going to take in the service. We'll discuss some things. We'll have some community. And we're hoping that it might be an opportunity for you to experience a little bit of what it might be like in community. And who knows, maybe we can develop some home churches out of that. We'd certainly like that.
We're really looking at these watch parties as on-ramps to home church, right?
Yep.
We'd love you to come to if you're not sure, you come to a watch party, you experience home church light, if you will.
Yeah.
And then hopefully jump into a home church.
Yeah. I should mention there's one on the Monday night at CPC, right, starting on the 28th of September, and then at WRC on the Tuesday night, the 29th, we'll be having one as well.
Right.
And then you had an idea, Steve, the possibility of some other spaces within our community, maybe in a business or not, that might be open to
Right.
this.
I thought it was, maybe you're someone who's maybe not comfortable bringing people in your home, or maybe you would love to host, but you have limited space. Maybe you live in an apartment, a condo, or something, you don't have space. But maybe you know of a space that's available to you where you can bring some people in and have a home church of, say, 10 or 12 people. Maybe you own a business. And maybe in your business there's a gathering space where you could have home church every week and have 10 or 12 people gather in that space and hold home church. We'd love to hear from you if you have space available where we could do home church with maybe 10 or 12 people in a little larger setting so that you can apply all the COVID rules to it. That would be a cool opportunity.
Yeah, you always talk about these seasons as not being obstacles, right?
But opportunities.
But opportunities. And there really are. And we recognize that there's sometimes the fear of whatever this unknown is can sometimes sort of cap us, sort of limit us. We're praying that it won't. We do want to follow. We want to protect one another. We were just talking earlier that some people seem to think we have my rights to do this, that, and the other.
Right.
It's like, well, Jesus actually laid down his rights to serve others, and that's kind of the season we're in for sure right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy when I see on the news people that are saying it's my right not to wear a mask, it's my right for this, it's my right for that. And as Christ followers, we need to remember we follow a guy who laid down his rights for the common good.
Yeah.
And we need to follow that example during this time.
Yeah. So we had someone put in a question for us last week. And the question I want to put to you, Steve, is we've gone through this COVID season, maybe what is something that's been a surprise or something that you've kind of, I don't know, can we say the word enjoy? Or this season has offered you an experience that maybe you weren't thinking of.
Good question.
Yeah.
I'd say a couple of things.
Okay.
Number one, I love the way our church is responding and caring for other people, both inside and outside the church. I really think that's been a real encouragement to see our church rise up and love mercy inside and outside with people. Here's the second thing. I want to give high marks to our staff. Our staff and some of the key volunteers that are involved have had to pivot literally twice in how we've done church over the last few months. And to watch our staff and our key volunteers pivot so well and work so well at trying to minister during this time has been a real encouragement to me and a real blessing to me to watch them just adjust and go with the flow and grab their surfboard and surf the wave, if you will. But to see the staff and the key volunteers be willing to pivot to minister to others has been a real encouragement to me.
Yeah. It's been fun, working with this team. Challenging.
Yeah, I'm not sure fun sometimes, but
no.
It's been a great challenge and a great joy, I would say, to work with a team that's wanting to see how we can minister effectively.
So one of the cool things about a team or a community or family is that sometimes when someone might be feeling a little bit challenged, like all of a sudden they're just feeling like that wave that I was supposed to be catching is now coming over top of me. You look around at maybe some of the other team members, the family members, and you can see them, and they kind of hold you up. And their energy or their creativity kind of pulls you along and gets you up from underneath that tumble of that wave riding over top of you. Yeah, there's a lot of really great opportunities. There's going to be lots of ministry opportunities, some of them online, some of them in person. As you mentioned, we are going to offer the possibility of some gatherings for retirees and friends.
Right.
We've got a finance course coming up here shortly, which
pub theology.
I would suggest, that finance course. It's going to be, like I said, either in person or online. This is a great season to lean into that.
Yep.
I mean, it's always good to take another second look, just a rethink. 4 Tuesday nights in the month of October. Interested, office at sandwichbaptist.org. If for whatever reason you can't afford the I think it's $20 that we'll cover that. We're not into people not coming because of that, but it's going to be really great. Rob Huizinga is going to be leading it, and you've got something I can tell.
No, Jeremy just gave me the 1 minute. He's about to give us a 30-second piece here, and I just want to say this. Our hearts are to make sure people are cared for and connected during this time. And if you know someone in our church that needs care, and you don't sense that's happening, can you please send an email to office@sandwichbaptist.org? We want to make sure people are being cared for well during this time.
Yeah, that's a great way to finish it. Thanks, Steve. Good to see you. Looking forward to hearing this series.
Yeah.
Guys, enjoy the service. Hi, everybody. It's good to be with you again today. Hope you had a great sort of start to your September. All the parents with kids, we've been praying for you. We've been praying for our school administrators. We trust that you are able to have a great year. A couple things we want to draw to your attention. The first is our AGM. Normally, we have our annual general meeting back in June. Well, we weren't able to have it then. And so this year, we're having it at the beginning of October. It's going to be a couple of town hall via Zoom meetings, one on a Tuesday night, October 6th, one on Wednesday night, October 7th. And you, through Zoom, are going to be able to ask your questions. And then on the 8th, which is a Thursday night, we'll be doing our Survey Monkey, which is how we'll be doing our voting. There's more information on that regarding the meetings and how they'll play out, how you can sign up. It's on our website, or you can just reach out to us at office@sandwichbaptist.org, and we'll answer all the questions that you have. You've probably heard us talk about Living Edge Market. It meets out at our CPC campus every Thursday night. There's a number of different churches that take on the different Thursdays. We're in need of some more volunteers. It's such a great ministry. Every Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30, people who need the food resource come and are able to pick it up. But there's a lot of work that needs to happen before that. Things need to be bagged up. Things need to be picked up. Even on the Wednesday, there's an opportunity to do some actual gleaning of the product from the farm.
So if you are interested, we know you love the ministry, but if you have time and you're interested in helping, we'd love to hear from you at office@saanachbaptist.org. For those of you who may be new to us, maybe you've never been to pre-COVID SBC, we just want to say thanks for joining us. We'd love to connect with you. On our website, there's a tab that says I'm new. You can just click on that and fill out that form, and we'll be happy and get back to you. It's just as quick as we can, and help you feel comfortable in your understanding of SBC and maybe ways you can get connected. It's good to have you with us. Now I'm just going to throw it back to Kim and her team as we head into the service. God bless.
Well, welcome to church indeed. I just want to give a quick little shout out to one of our video team volunteers, Jeremy, for putting together that new countdown video. I think, I know that when I watched it, I just got really excited for where we are as a church this season. I think it can be easy to get focused on the things that we've lost and the things that we maybe can't do together, but fear not. God is still working. God is still doing some amazing things right here in our midst. And from wherever you're tuning in from, we're so glad that you've joined us. Whether you're in a home church or you're just tuning in by yourself, I think God has something for us this morning. So let's lean in together. I'm going to start off by just reading this call to worship that's based on Psalm 30. It says, "Let us lift up the name of the Lord and rejoice, for God hears our prayers and delights in our worship. So praise the one who brings healing to our pain and causes joy to follow the long night of sorrow. Let us not be silent. Let us not still our tongues. O Lord, our God, we give you thanks forever." Let's worship him and praise him this morning. Let's sing, "He is faithful."
Changing hearts and minds.
'Cause in the valley of the unknown, I will lift my voice, and in the shifting, in the shadow, I know that you are with me. 'Cause you are Lord over all. You will be my rescue. You will never fail. Lord, through it all, I will choose to trust you. You will never fail. In the searching and the waiting, you quiet my soul. And in the stillness of your presence, I know that you are with me. You are with me, God, 'cause you are Lord over all. And you will be my rescue. You will never fail. And Lord, through it all, I will choose to trust you. You will never fail. 'Cause you are Lord over all. You will be my rescue. You will never fail. Lord, through it all, I will choose to trust you. You will never fail. And out of this darkness and into your promise, you will deliver me. Oh yeah, oh, eternal Savior, you stand forever. You are my victory. Oh yes, oh yes. Out of this darkness and into your promise, you will deliver me. Oh, eternal Savior, you stand forever. You are my victory. 'Cause you are Lord over all. You will be my rescue. You will never fail. And Lord, through it all, I will choose to trust you. You will never fail. Oh no, 'cause you are Lord over all. You will be my rescue. You will never fail. Lord, through it all, I will choose to trust you. You will never fail. 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 Oh no, you will never fail. 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 No, you won't. 'Cause you are Lord over all. You will be my rescue. You will never fail. And Lord, through it all, I will choose to trust you. You will never fail. You will never fail. Though Satan should buffet, though trials should come, let this blessed assurance control that Christ has regarded my helpless estate and has shed His own blood for my soul. With my soul, it is well with my soul. My sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul.
With my soul,
It is well. It is well with my soul. It is well, 'cause it is well.
is well.
With my soul.
With my soul,
It is well. It is well with my soul. Haste the day when my faith shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well. It is well with my soul. With my soul, it is well. It is well with my soul. I'm going to invite you to just meditate on a psalm with us as we go ahead. This is just Psalm 116. We're going to keep playing in the background. and there'll be a video playing with the words of the psalm, but just let them kind of sink into your soul. We're starting a new sermon series where Steve's going to be talking about lament and how in some ways we've lost a lot of the ability to lament well. And the Psalms are such a beautiful treasure trove of lament and of praise and all kinds of emotions. And so, let's spend some time just thinking about these things. God, I thank you for that reminder that you are here, that you walk with us, that even when the terrors and the sorrows seem to overwhelm us, that we can know that you walk with us through those things, that you never leave, that you never forsake, that you never fail. That even when things don't go the way that we would like them to go, or the way that we think is best to go, that we can know that you are God and that you rise above the things that we see and the things that we know. And that we can trust you to lead us through to the other side. God, we thank you for the Psalms. We thank you for your word, which can be a joy in the dark times and a light in the dark times. And that you speak to us through those words, that they aren't just pages in a book, but that you speak your hope and your light into us. So God, we just pray that you would teach us how to sit in the hard places well, with ourselves and with the others that we encounter in our lives, that we wouldn't just brush off pain and brush off sorrow, but that we would learn to sit in the hard times and still be able to praise you and to say, it is well, no matter what. So we just thank you for who you are, and we pray these things in your powerful name. Amen. Well, I want to direct your attention to a video on a finance class that we're going to be offering in the month of October. So take a look for a little bit more information here.
Attending the finance class was a great experience. It was a very good, practical overview of kind of how to organize your funds and what God has given you to steward, and how to manage that, in a really practical way.
I really appreciated the roundtable discussions that we had and just chatting about some of the concepts that were presented, and that was helpful to see some other perspectives. One thing that was really helpful to us was learning how to budget our finances, so that we decided at the beginning of the month where all of the money was going to go, rather than what we had been doing, which was keeping track of where we had spent it at the end of the month. And that was a big shift for us and made a really big difference.
And I think another takeaway too was the concept of not needing to be worried about the unknowns in the future and what that might hold, but rather kind of having some steps to take so that you can be prepared, whatever the future brings.
The finance class had an impact on our spiritual lives in that it gave us kind of a way to integrate budgeting and planning and our finances into our marriage, and giving us a chance to talk about and pray about the money that we were planning for, and just thanking God for what He's given us and asking for wisdom and how to be good stewards of it.
I would recommend the finance course to anybody. I think anybody could glean things from it, whether it's a teenager that's learning to use a budget for the first time, or a young person or a young couple that's kind of got lots of years ahead of them potentially, and or somebody that's in the sort of height of their career or even into retirement. There's practical steps that apply to any phase of life.
Well, good morning, everyone. So good to have you with us, wherever you're watching us from. And we're just excited for what God is doing as we move into this fall. And I want to encourage you, if you're interested in being part of that finance course, to email us. Of course, the email is office@santisbaptist.org, and we'll get in touch with you and get you signed up for that course. It has been a blessing. Rob is a great teacher. I want to encourage you to sign up. Before we jump into the new series I have for us this morning, I just want us to again pray. Father, thank you for all the good things you're doing in our lives. In this season of uncertainty and confusion, you are the rock that we can lean on. You are our fortress. And God, many people today need to know your presence in their lives. I think of those who are mourning, those who have lost loved ones. I think of Carolyn Snyder, who lost her father this last week. Her and her family, Father, need your comfort, your presence. I think of others who have lost loved ones during these last few months, who have not been able to mourn well. God, I pray your presence would be with them. I think of those on the west coast of the United States right now who are experiencing the devastation of fires, have lost their homes, have lost loved ones. God, once again, your presence is needed. Father, more than anything, we need to know you in these days. Father, more than anything, we need to call out to you. And so, Father, as we begin this new series, I pray that you will speak to us. I pray that you will encourage us. I pray that you will help us learn the language of lament well. Father, I pray that you would bless us and move with us through this fall. In Jesus' name, amen. Early last week, I was sitting on my patio with a cup of coffee, and I was drinking the coffee, and I was just thinking about how blessed I am to live in Canada. As you look at what's going on in the United States, you look at what's going on around the world, we are truly blessed to live in this country. And I was thinking about Canadians, and I was thinking that most Canadians share a common desire. And the common desire is this: to live a life that satisfies the hunger for relationships, for well-being, for security, and for purpose. I mean, most of us don't expect to live forever, but we would like to journey through life somewhat healthy. Most people don't want to be extremely rich, but they do want to have enough money to pay the bills. Most Canadians, I think, don't want dozens of best friends, but they do want a few meaningful relationships. Additionally, many Canadians desire to live a predictable life, one that can be explained and managed. I know someone who really desires to live a comfortable, safe, predictable, explainable, managed life. And because of that, this person spends a lot of time being frustrated and stressed. Because while she desires to live this predictable, manageable life, life is anything but predictable. I mean, just consider the last few months with COVID. COVID has turned our lives on its head. And yet, when you think about it, life has gone on. People go to work, we're going back to school, people have given birth, other people have lost loved ones. It seems like life is going on and COVID is being templated on top of it. And as life moves on with COVID sitting on top of it, many, many people have experienced loss over the last few months. For some people, it's been the loss of being connected with those they love. I don't know if you saw that picture yesterday. I was reading through Apple News, and there was this picture of this elderly gentleman sitting outside on a chair, looking through the window at his wife at a care home. And every day he goes there and he sits in this chair and he sings to his wife. They're experiencing the loss of being together. Others over this last few months have experienced the loss of a job or maybe the loss of a business they built up. Many people are experiencing the loss of gathering together to worship. Others are experiencing the loss of something they've been planning. I know of 4 weddings that were canceled this summer. Anticipation, expectation, and then loss. Some of you have experienced the loss of a loved one. Haven't been able to gather together people to mourn well. The last few months have been a season of loss. And as we live in this time of loss, a time when we really need to regain the art of living with uncertainty and pain and loss. And the first step to regaining the art of living with uncertainty and loss is to admit or acknowledge that we don't lament well today. We don't lament well today. What do I mean by lament? Lament means to grieve, to sorrow, to cry. It means to pour out your troubles in an outward, verbal way. To lament means to give voice to your suffering and your pain. Lament is the language of those who are struggling with sadness and loss and doubt and heartache. And we don't use the language well today because we live in a culture that seeks to avoid suffering and grieving. We live in a culture that says it's not okay to be sad or to cry. It's not okay to be afraid or to struggle. It's not okay to be angry or to grieve. We live in a culture that says it's not okay to experience those negative emotions. I mean, think about the funerals you've attended. Often the tears are wiped away before anyone has had a chance to weep. Most funerals are lament light. we need to face the fact that we don't lament well today. Here's what we do well. We stuff our stuff deep down inside. We do that really, really well. We're good at stuffing our stuff deep down inside and then giving voice to pretend emotions we don't really feel. Have you ever gone to an event and you're in a group of any size and you're dying inside, you're grieving, you're sad, but as you walk into this group, you put on a smiley face, and when people say, "How are you doing?" you say, "I'm fine." But you're pretending. And North American Christ followers do this really, really well. Our North American version of Christianity doesn't leave much room for emotions like despair and sadness and fear and uncertainty and deep doubt. Some people feel if they want to belong, if they want to be accepted, they need to stuff their pain, their doubt, their grief, their despair deep down inside. And then be happy and upbeat and smiley all the time. Which explains, at least in part, why so many North American Christ followers struggle with issues like depression. And let me say this. North American church services often don't help us here. The prayers are always positive. The songs are upbeat and celebratory. Often church services give the impression God can only be worshiped by a happy soul with a smiling face and a positive attitude. And that can create a mismatch between what people are hearing and singing and what they're experiencing in life. One person wrote, after life hit on a Saturday and they went to church on a Sunday, they wrote this: "The following day was Sunday, and I went to church, but I could not sing the songs of praise that were included in the worship because of the tears in my eyes and the lump in my throat. I wanted to protest, not praise." Now let me be clear. Celebration is certainly not wrong. We're encouraged in Scripture to celebrate. We need to celebrate God in His great acts. That's an important piece of what we do when we gather together, either in a room or online. Celebration is important. But with the absence of lament, our worship is not complete. How can we be honest before God if all we ever sing are praise songs? How can we be honest before God if all we ever pray are upbeat prayers? Sorrow-filled prayers can be some of the deepest expressions of worship. And I believe today people are aching for words that express the reality of their lives. People are crying out today to learn the language of lament. Because lament shows us how to process our pain and our grief and our sorrow and our questions and even our anger. Today we desperately need to learn the language of lament. The simple truth is this. A lot of Christ followers would be much healthier if they stopped faking it, stopped posing, stopped bottling up or pushing down their pain, and instead learned the language of lament. And that's why we need the Psalms. The Psalms understand the human condition. As theologian N.T. Wright has written, he says this: "The Psalms are inexhaustible and deserve to be said, sung, chanted, whispered, learned by heart, and even shouted from the rooftops." And then he says this: "They express all the emotions we are ever likely to feel, including some we hope we may not. And they lay them raw and open in the presence of God. Isn't that second paragraph great? They express all the emotions we're ever likely to feel, including some we hope we may not, and lay them raw and open in the presence of God. We need the Psalms, especially the lament Psalms. I don't know if you know this, of the 150 Psalms, at least 57 of them are lament. There are at least 57 lament Psalms where the psalmists pour out their troubles and their sorrows and their doubts and their questions and their anger to God. And over the next few weeks, we're going to journey through some of these lament Psalms together. And they're going to teach us that we can cast our cares on God even when we think God is the problem. They're going to teach us that we have a God who invites us to speak, even shout, the full range of human emotions and thoughts to Him. In these laments, we're going to hear people's agony. We're going to feel their pain and their suffering and their anger and their doubt and their despair. And because of that, and because of the honesty and the rawness of these Psalms, some people find the lament Psalms make them uncomfortable. And I think that's because the lament Psalms challenge us to engage those emotions and thoughts that we bury deep down inside. Those emotions and those thoughts that we really don't want to deal with, that we really don't want to engage. And yet the lament Psalms encourage us. They challenge us to engage them. They also give us permission to not be okay. The lament Psalms tell us it's okay to not be okay. We will see in these Psalms it's okay to be sad and afraid. It's okay to be angry and to struggle. It's okay to fail and to grieve and to weep and to question God. Here's an example of a lament psalm. Let me read this to you. It's Psalm 88. Lord, you are the God who saves me. Day and night I cry out to you. May my prayer come before you. Turn your ear to my cry. I am overwhelmed with troubles, and my life draws near to death. I am counted among those who go down to the pit. I am like one without strength. I am set apart with the dead, like the slain who lie in the grave, who you remember no more, who are cut off from your care. You have put me in the lowest pit, in the darkest depths. Your wrath lies heavily on me. You have overwhelmed me with all your waves. You have taken from me my closest friends, and you have made me repulsive to them. I am confined and cannot escape. My eyes are dim with grief. I call to you, Lord, every day. I spread out my hands to you. Do you show your wonders to the dead? Do their spirits rise up and praise you? Is your love declared in the grave, your faithfulness in destruction? Are your wonders known in places of darkness, or your righteous deeds in the land of oblivion? But I cry to you for help, Lord. In the morning my prayer comes before you. Why, Lord, do you reject me and hide your face from me? From my youth I have suffered and been close to death. I have borne your terrors and am in despair. Your wrath has swept over me. Your terrors have destroyed me. All day long they surround me like a flood. They have completely engulfed me. You have taken from me friend and neighbor. Darkness is my closest friend. Well, that's positive and uplifting, isn't it? And yet, while the words are dark and everything seems to have gone wrong, and there seems to be no hope in sight, Darkness is my closest friend. As you listen to all of that, there's something refreshing about it. There's honesty there. There's authenticity there. There's vulnerability there. There's a realness there. And there's something refreshing about that. And while it may appear as we journey through the Psalms, the psalmists are having a breakdown of faith, that they're walking away from God, we're going to see over the next few weeks that is far from what is happening. As we move through the laments together, we're going to see that much of the protest and the anger and the questioning hurled at God does not come from his enemies, but rather from those who love and trust him the most. In the Psalms, it's not those who lack faith who lament, but those who are recognized for their trust and their strong faith who lament. Moses, David, various temple leaders. It seems those who are closest to God feel at liberty to pour out their lament to him in honest and raw ways. The laments they have, the words they share, offer us words that we can use on our own journey. Let me share some words from Psalm 13. This is an example of words that we can personalize and use. Psalm 13, it's a short lament psalm. It goes like this. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I wrestle with my thoughts and day after day have sorrow in my heart? How long will my enemy triumph over me? Look on me and answer, Lord my God. Give light to my eyes, or I will sleep in death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my foes will rejoice when I fall. But I trust in your unfailing love. My heart rejoices in your salvation. I will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to me. While pain often gives rise to prayerlessness, lament is the historic prayer language of God followers who are hurting and struggling. Lament psalms are prayers, honest prayers, prayers we can pray. Psalm 10 begins this way in verse 1. Why, Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourselves in times of trouble? When was the last time you began a prayer like that? You see, the lament psalms allow us to talk to God about the way life really is. They help bring the real you into the presence of a real God. And we need to learn to do that today. And that's what we're going to do over the next few weeks. Over the next few weeks, we're going to learn the language of lament together. And we're going to learn to speak that language together. Let me close this way this morning. One day, as the Bible teaches us, there will be a new heaven and a new earth. And when that time comes, perhaps we'll sing the Psalms, but we'll not sing all of them. In God's presence, there will be no need to lament. All our complaints will be complete. All our requests will have been answered. Heavenly praise will have replaced our earthly groanings. But right now, today, we live in between two worlds. As I've often said, God had his D-Day, the cross and the resurrection, and God will have that V-Day, a new heaven and a new earth. And right now we live in this in-between time. And as we live in this in-between time, lament is one of our songs on our journey. And embracing this divinely given language will not only deepen our understanding of God and his grace, it will prepare us to navigate life when sorrow like sea billows roll. It will allow us to journey through this pandemic well. Lament should be one of the responses to the pandemic. When we have to go around wearing masks, when we have to be socially distanced from people we care about, when we're not gathering to worship together, when we can't gather to mourn or to celebrate, when people are dying with nobody by their bedside, it is time to lament. Thus, our goal this fall is to learn from the lament psalms the art of living with uncertainty, pain, and loss. The art of lamenting well. In the meantime, this week, as you journey through this season of uncertainty, allow lament to do a work in your life. And then this fall, together, let lament become our teacher. And this fall, let's together learn the language of lament well. Let me pray. Father, thank you for today. And Father, thank you for the Psalms. And thank you for the honesty we're going to experience in them. God, I pray this fall, as we move through a fall that's uncertain, that's confusing. For some, it's chaotic. For others, it's carrying loss. Father, as we move through the fall together, may we learn to lament well together. Teach us the language. Teach us the lost art of lamenting. Teach us the lost art of living with uncertainty and pain and suffering and loss. And thank you that we have a God who we can cry out to, who we can be honest with. And God, create within us a rawness and an honesty that we not only share with you, but we're willing to share with a few others. Father, rather than stuff everything down, may we bring it to you with open hands, allowing you to take it. And so as we move through this week, Lord, may we be people who call out to you, people who praise you, people who celebrate you and your great works, and people who also lament honestly and openly to our loving, gracious God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Let's sing this song together. The verse just reads, "When the mountains fall and the tempest roars, you are with me. When creation folds, still my soul will soar on your mercy. And I'll walk through the fire with my head lifted high and my spirit revived in your story. And I'll look to the cross as my failure is lost in the light of your glorious grace." So let's just sing this song. It can be difficult to, sing songs that don't seem to have a happy ending. But it's so important to be able to sit in some of these words when we're in these places and in these seasons of valleys and tempests roaring and storms brewing. So let's sing the song and let the ruins come to life in the beauty of his name, rising up from the ashes. Sing it together. And I'll walk through the fire.
Just love those words. Rising up from the ashes. God is with you. Whether you're on your own, whether you're in a home church, wherever you find yourself watching this, our God is with you. We believe prayer is a powerful thing, and God can meet us in prayer, and we can support each other in prayer. And so I just encourage you, if you're on your own, maybe with your spouse, or whether you're in a home church, we just encourage you to spend some time in prayer. Go to our God. Maybe you'd like someone to pray for you and you are on your own. I just encourage you, you can reach out to us. On the resources page there's a tab for prayer, and there will be someone who will contact you and would just love to pray with you. God is with you, and we want to be with you as well. So if that would be helpful, we'd love to do that. We encourage you, whether you are on your own with others, to spend some time considering this service and what God has said to you throughout this service. Maybe you are on your own. Who could you reach out to and maybe just share some of the truths that you've heard today? You're sitting in your home church. I encourage you to discuss and to think through how God could be working in your life through this challenge today. It's been great having you with us through this service. We encourage you to continue on. And as you do that, I just want to read this benediction from Philippians chapter 4. May the God of peace, which surpasses all understanding, guard your heart and your mind. God bless.